Sands is a proud sponsor of the Long Island Tea Podcast.
With incomparable luxury, Sands leaves nothing to the imagination. To learn more, visit sandsnewyork.com.
We are the Long Island Tea, where we spill the tea.
It's true. We're from Long Island, so we say, how you doing? How you doing?
I don't.
We're in the middle of the vines.
Yes.
Because it's Memorial Weekend. So
It's
there's
kickoff. We're here. It's summertime. Long Island wine of the week.
I'm thankful for our hot teas.
Yes. That's like such a Long Island thing.
We're just talking about real life.
Right.
That's what we do. Welcome back to another episode of Long Island Tea, where we spill the tea on living your best Long Island life. I'm Kristen.
And I'm Sharon. Welcome back.
Hey, Sharon. How you doing?
How you doing? I'm doing great.
Yeah, me too. It's hot, though.
It's hot.
Although by the time this airs, it won't be hot anymore.
Right, we'll have the break.
Yes.
It's supposed to be like thunderstorms and stuff.
Yes, all weekend.
Yeah, you
I'm
excited?
Here for it. I need.
Coming up on sweater
I'm ready
weather.
for a snow day.
I know.
I'll tell you that. It is crazy.
Oh, man.
It's funny. We just finished filming our other podcast that we do called The C-Suite Tea. And if you have not heard that yet, you should go listen to The C-Suite Tea, wherever you get your podcasts, and follow us also on C-Suite Tea on Instagram. But our topic over there was multitasking.
Yeah.
And the detriments of multitasking. But it's like literally what we've been doing all day. I'm just blurry. I'm blurry.
It's so true. And, look, we're all guilty of it, and some people love it and some people can handle it and some people,
Yeah. So go listen to that because it's a really interesting, I think it's an interesting episode. Alyssa said it was her favorite one so far because she related.
Yeah. Well, the statistics were just incredible.
Crazy. And the fact that your brain only has so much bandwidth in a day to like absorb for absorbing, for being focused.
Performance.
Yes. And I think mine's there right now.
Yeah.
I feel like I've pretty much reached that capacity. Yeah. And I'm sure the heat does something to that too. The heat
true.
Hits you. You're like, I can't. Right?
No. Yeah.
Okay, so we have a very special guest today that we're going to get to in a minute, and I'm super excited because I've been hearing about Larry the Duck since I very first moved to Long Island. He's very famous, but just real quick, between you and me, I got to tell you.
Between you and me.
Between us chickens.
Us hot teas, you
By
mean?
the way, as hot teas, I get all those chicken TikToks thanks to you now.
That's hysterical.
You did the chicken, you showed me the chicken TikTok and I watched it.
Wars?
And now I get like more TikToks of just chickens dancing than I get.
So
like,
funny.
I'm like, my feed is messed up.
Did you see the one I sent you yesterday?
Hilarious. It was so sweet.
So sweet.
Yeah. They're
be back,
talking
pal.
about the end of summer.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was sweet. I liked it. And that was clearly on Long Island.
Yeah,
Because
right.
they had Arizona iced tea, which is made here on Long Island.
Yeah.
Did you know that?
Yes,
so,
I did.
So I went to my very first back to business because it's after September.
Right.
At reception last night. And it's like, here we go.
Yeah.
It's
jumping in.
It's weird. You see everybody because everybody's been busy all summer,
Yeah.
and you're like, "Here's everybody again.
Hello.
Same folks. Hey, how's it going? How was your summer?
Right.
Great.
Right.
Back to business.
Yeah.
And there's like 14 of those in a row. From now on.
Yeah. Like I'm trying to plan a lunch meeting. No way.
Double booked.
Double booked until like November.
Yeah.
And
I was getting texts this morning. Can I move my lunch from this day to this day? And then I had to say, sure. I got to move that lunch then here, and then move this over here.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It's crazy.
But
yeah, it is all good. I think, there's that multitasking. I mean, you literally going to different receptions and, seeing all our colleagues and things like that.
Crazy. How was the first day of school for your kiddos?
Oh,
What?
rough.
Why?
My daughters loved it. Both of them loved it. So excited. They love their teacher. It's adorable. Braden started junior high. So it's that transition into changing classes and lockers and things like that. So he literally was so miserable. I think it's a big adjustment and he'll get over it. We all did it. It was all miserable for us too. But my school district does it differently. They do A and B days.
Yeah.
I've never done that.
Yeah. Ours does that too.
And it's weird. So I think that's going to be a hard, like, where am I going now? Type of thing. But I ordered him Qdoba, his new favorite fast food restaurant, to cheer him up because he was that miserable. I'm like, he's starving because they eat lunch at 11 o'clock in the morning, because they start so early. So when he got home, I was like, all right, bud, tacos are on their way. I'll DoorDash it. We'll sit and talk about it, And then he was fine. But I do have to say, he literally fell asleep at 8:30 last night snoring. I was like, he's exhausted.
It's a lot. And the brain power for the kids at school, too. I mean, coming off of summer and then just like boom, 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 boom. I mean, it's a big adjustment for all the kids. So.
And he was a walker. And I live right by the elementary school. So now he's back to taking a bus. And it's like, he forgot how that goes, So he literally got off the wrong bus stop. Thank God, a couple blocks away. But I'm like, what happened?
He'll get it. He'll get there. But yeah, it's not easy for these kids, and especially again, this generation in particular has had to go through so many adjustments.
Yeah,
and relearn how to go to school and how to be social.
Right.
And so it's a lot.
Yeah,
but it's good.
It'll be fine.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll send positive vibes out to B. But yeah, those junior high, that's a big deal.
It's a big deal.
All the class changes. Tegan was like hilarious. We sat at family dinner and I was like, tell me about your day. She's like, okay, so first of all, we started with the bus. Then period 1, it was.
She gave you the play-by-play. I love it.
I was like,
good
okay,
girl.
Yeah, and so she's excited for open house already and wants.
That's good.
And it's fun. It'll be. I like to go to open house and you get to put a face with all of the stories that she tells about the different teachers. But they all sound great, and I think it's going to be a good year, so I'm excited. We actually have a very special taste of Long Island today as well.
Wait.
And I keep looking at this. I'm like, this is a new partner of ours, right? GiftMix.
Yes.
And we were looking at this adorable box that they sent us, and it's a box that you can, send to people.
It reminds me of like a FabFitFun type of thing.
A subscription box.
Thank you. I couldn't think of the word. But they offer modern and seamless gifting platform to easily find and send thoughtful gifts. Each gift is carefully arranged in an elegant gift box with a heartfelt personal message, which is adorable.
I love it, and I love that they're like, it's spreading joyful moments.
So cute.
And it was founded on Long Island to help spread joyful moments and celebrate those around you. And Alyssa was saying, she's like, she just did one. She just sent one to. Was it your family member?
Her sister.
Your sister. Hopefully she doesn't listen to the tea before she gets the GiftMix box. But yeah, so our staff is already using these and sending these to people. But this is so cute. And this one is filled with a vegan collagen eye brightening and firming. This is what I'm talking about. And then these are little candies. One of these like little froze candies, little gummy bear things. And I just love the presentation. It looks very bougie, as we like to say.
Yes.
A golden hour glow. It's a bath bomb.
Oh, so cute.
Ooh, it smells good. You have to smell this. Oh my gosh.
Oh my God, it does smell good.
I've never seen a bath bomb come. I thought it was going to be a candle.
I know, that's
golden
so
hour
pretty.
glow.
And
Ooh,
this
nice.
one's a pink champagne mug cake mix. So the fun thing about this specific box is Angelica, when she was setting it up with our new partner, she said they like wine and they like spas.
Oh, so they
the
customize
perfect
it. Yeah.
customized box for us.
I love this pink champagne mug cake mix. Tegan makes mug cakes all the time.
It's so funny. Braden taught me how to do it.
Yeah.
And
you can make them in like seconds.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And they are delicious.
It was
and this
like a
one says
cheesecake.
just add champagne.
That's amazing.
I love it. That's so cute.
That is adorable.
Yum. So thank you to GiftMix. Do we have how that you can order that?
Yes. So you visit shopgiftmix.com.
Shopgiftmix.com.
And they have many different sizes and price points. So I think it's however you curate it.
Yeah. All right, cool. Well, and make sure when you're in the comments that you let them know that you heard about them from Long Island Tea Podcast, so they know why you're contacting them. So thank you to them. I love I'd never heard of them before they became partners.
Right.
And so how cute.
So cute.
And especially it's so hard to buy gifts for people these
Oh,
days.
yeah.
Trying to find something, and I just think the presentation is all packaged for you. Just make your life easier and do it. Some other Long Island life that I thought was interesting.
Yes.
First of all, just one more reminder that we have the Long Island Ducks Day.
Yes.
Coming up.
September 22nd.
September 22nd. Make sure you come to the Ducks and, see our whole team. We'll all be there.
Yeah, it'll be
So
awesome.
you can meet us. Sharon and I will sign autographs.
Yeah. We
you
will
see
take a
us.
selfie with you.
Yeah. I mean, we will stop and say hello. Don't be afraid to come say hi to us. And then you can get your t-shirt too, your commemorative Ducks Long Island, Discover Long Island t-shirt. And our tourism symposium is also on the 20th.
Yes.
And so this is really cool. We're going to talk about, how to do data, how to do social media. If you're in the industry or if you're a small business at all on Long Island and you just want to learn about where your customers come from and how you can tap into Discover Long Island resources, make sure you sign up.
One of the classes that we're offering is all about cybersecurity.
Yes.
And that's so important. I just saw that on the news this morning, especially with kids going back to work, back to school and using their Chromebooks and things like that, how to set that cybersecurity up.
Yes, and that class is being led by our security team for Discover Long Island, which is proactive.
Yes.
They have been in charge of our IT and security for years. And so we really are grateful to them as a partner too. And they're going to come and teach all the small businesses on Long Island that attend how to protect your business.
Yes.
Which you're right, is so important. And then I saw 2 interesting news stories. One is, did you hear the Belmont Steaks is moving to Saratoga Springs for 2 years?
Yeah, due to the construction.
My eye's twitching just thinking about it. My eye just immediately started twitching. I'm like, oh. It's because we're completely renovating Belmont Park.
Right.
Where the Belmont Steaks takes place and Belmont Raceway.
And it's going to be incredible.
Not Belmont Park, Belmont Raceway, which is different than Belmont Park, by the way. It's like you say Massapequa or Massapequa Park.
Yes,
You know
yes,
what I mean?
yeah.
It matters.
So New York Race, NYRA.
NYRA, which is New York Racing Association, which is at Belmont Raceway, which is where, if you know the Triple Crown, that's where that takes place. It's a huge feather in our cap, the Triple Crown, every year.
Absolutely. And because it's, the last race.
Yes.
Held at Belmont. I was talking to somebody recently, and I'm like, we're not going to allow that.
Right.
We're going to put a stop to that.
Apparently not.
I guess we
listen, there hasn't been, I think the last Triple Crown, which is when a horse wins the Kentucky Derby and then the Preakness, and then they have a chance to win the Belmont Stakes, which is the Triple Crown. There hasn't been one since 2018, I think. And it was because, I remember that specifically because I was getting engaged in that exact moment. I think it was Justify. Which was, I'll never forget it, but there hasn't been one since then. So, but it's still awesome to go to the Belmont Stakes, whether there's Triple Crown. But if there's a Triple Crown, when it's at Saratoga, I'm going to lose my mind.
I know.
I'm going to lose my mind. So anyway, I'll be rooting for that. And Saratoga is so cute. It's a great place to go see horse races. But the good news is it'll be when you come back, it's going to be a beautiful, renovated Belmont Raceway. It's going to be this incredible stadium that allows us to do awesome things. And so it's going to be a million times better. So
it's going to be beautiful.
Fine. We'll sacrifice for a couple of years. And plus we have the Ryder Cup during that time too. So we'll be okay.
All right.
We'll be okay. And then the other thing I was reading, Duryea's Duryea's Lobster Deck in Montauk.
Yeah.
And then there's also Duryea's Orient Point.
Right. Beautiful, beautiful.
2 amazing places to honor. They're big partners of ours. Love them. Duryea's Lobster Deck in Montauk, arguably the best place to watch sunset.
Oh, yes.
On Long Island.
Oh, yeah.
Other than Sharon's Target
parking lot.
Yeah, exactly. Other than that, and then Orient Point, I still haven't been to that one yet, but I actually sent my friends Doug and Patrick there because they were taking the ferry, and I was like, oh, you got to stop at Duryea's Orient. And they did, and they sent me pictures. They're like, this place is amazing.
Yeah,
we love
it's amazing.
But they came out with a new salad.
Yes.
Lobster salad, $97.
What?
A $97 salad only on Long Island.
It's huge.
Michael says it's
huge.
amazing.
Okay.
It's huge. It's lobster.
It's lobster.
You're paying for the lobster.
So, a question though: is it like a green salad
Yes.
with lobster on it?
Yes. It's a giant bowl of salad with lobster on it.
Interesting.
And a lot of lobster, apparently.
Okay.
What's happening? Okay, because we can kind of hear you guys in the background. So, okay. And then before we bring on Larry the duck, just real quick, I just want to go a couple of other things. The Eagles tickets giveaway.
We have a couple giveaways.
Yes, we have Eagles tickets giveaway for September 20th.
Okay.
So make sure you're on our social because that's amazing. And we gave away our Hamptons brunch giveaway bag.
Yes.
Right? The Hamptons interactive brunch bag. Did we pick a winner?
Yep, we put it on social.
Oh, we put it on social. Did we pick a winner for the Eagles yet?
Yes.
Not. Oh, we did. Okay, so those 2 have already been given away. All right, but if you want to know who won, go on our social. And we should know that. Next time we should announce their names on here just to congratulate the winners. But we are also giving away that Alexandra Accardo facial that I got.
Yes.
Amazing. $450 value,
Yeah.
by the way, at the Alexandra Accardo Studio in Huntington. So if you want your chance to get that facial, which trust me, you do.
Yeah.
Long Island Tea Podcast, Instagram. Okay, go there
Sign
now.
up.
Sign up. You can enter as many times as you want and tag people. This is like life-changing.
It is.
I love it.
And you literally looked glowing when you came back. Like, it was amazing.
I mean, honestly, I love it. And ever since then, I've worn less makeup still to
Yeah,
this day.
I know.
I mean, I feel like it's made a huge difference. So thank you, Alexandra Accardo. And Bree's going to be posting a bunch of stuff as she took a zillion videos of my facial. And then Michael will be posting the giveaway on how to do it on Long Island Tea Podcast. So with that, more Long Island life, let's bring on Larry the Duck.
Larry the Duck.
Larry, I'm just going to introduce you to people, if you don't mind.
Sure.
First of all, is it okay if I call you Larry the Duck?
Yeah, I mean, I tried to go back to Larry Dunn when I got to SiriusXM, and they said they don't know you by your real name. They only know you by Larry the Duck.
Stage
so yeah.
name.
Well, and it's so funny because I read that you said that, and people come up to you all the time, and you just go with it. And that's literally exactly what I did to you when I saw you at the Jim Blossoms induction at the Long Island Music Hall of Fame. You're like, "Hi, I'm Larry Dunn," and I'm like, "Larry the Duck." I was so excited. But so Larry, as we talked about, I'm a transplant to Long Island. And so when I first got here, everyone talked about you and what an icon you were. So I think most people not from Long Island know you for being on SiriusXM on, is it New Wave or First Wave?
Well, it's called First Wave. It's kind of a new wave, new music format from the 80s and 90s. That's what we do. So we kind of keep it alive, the old LIR spirit alive.
Yes. And so First Wave, if you listen to First Wave on SiriusXM, which is a very popular channel, it's on our car all the time. Of course, I'm that generation. I'm that genre. And you've been there for like 20 years, right?
I just celebrated my 20th anniversary on May 27th. So May 27th, 2003 was my first show. I didn't know where I was going to go. And I survived the merger, too, which you didn't know which way that was
Right.
going to go. Because they had a channel on XM called Fred. It was on channel 44. We were on channel 22. And they ended up letting those people go, and they killed the channel. So then during that time in the transition, before they brought the satellites together, I was Sirius 22 XM 44. And then they realigned, and they put us right in the middle at 33. And then they put U2 next to us on 32. And then they put Lithium on 34. So we're kind of positioned perfectly. And then with the satellite, when they bundled the satellites together, the signal goes from Canada to Mexico, Costa Rica, all of the Caribbean, and the 48 states. So basically, when I'm live, it's one feed for the country. So I have to say 5 a.m. Eastern.
And you
Because-
always say
yeah.
broadcasting from my home studio on Long Island.
Yeah.
And sometimes you'll say, or Hempstead, right?
Well, yeah, because the studio was in beautiful downtown Hempstead. I sometimes say we're broadcasting from the island of Long, just to kind of mix it up. Sometimes I say I'm broadcasting from Spook Central, Massapequa Park, New York, because that's where the Gilgo alleged murderer is. So, and I live 5 blocks from his house, actually.
You know,
Wow.
Alyssa's from there, right? Massapequa. Yeah, so she's like, not Massapequa Park. Totally different.
Totally different.
Yeah, well, you're from Massapequa, so Massapequa Park is like a square within a square, right?
Yes.
That's how you define
That's
it.
such a Long Island thing. I saw it on TikTok. They're like, oh, the people saying Massapequa and not, you got to throw Park in there.
But think
Differently.
think about how famous Massapequa is, right? From Steve Guttenberg, the Baldwins, Jerry Seinfeld, the Stray Cats, Joey Buttafuoco,
Right.
and Elliot Easton from the Cars.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of what we're going to get into is like you're known today by people from all over, like you said, all over the country for SiriusXM. But what people from Long Island know you as is Larry the Duck from WLIR, this incredible radio station that was in the 80s
Yeah.
and was really in a time when this kind of music was emerging. Right. And you were given a rare opportunity, I think, at the time to be able to just kind of do whatever you want.
Well, Kristen, to your point, I was blessed. Yeah, we were given the freedom because we weren't really hired for voice, though I had a dreaded Long Island accent. And I had to go for 2 years of speech therapy to kind of clean it up. And now it doesn't matter what your accent is, but at the time they were looking for kind of a regional accent. And I was an intern at St. John's University. When I taught at St. John's, I said, intern where you want to work. And I wanted to work so badly at LIR, and I got an internship my junior year. And then after my internship, which I got an A, they actually hired me in the music department, the production department. So I learned all the scopes of broadcast, paid radio as opposed to, radio that is college radio or nonprofit. So we were a for-profit, and we were actually a union station, which we don't really talk about. We were AFTRA. We were the American Federation of Television and Radio Announcers. It was us and KJOY were the only two Long Island stations that were union. So if I had 6 more months, I'd be vested. And not that I'm looking for that, but I was given the rare opportunity right after I graduated, 3 weeks. I was the youngest guy on the air staff. Everyone was about 10 years older than me. And I went on the air 3 weeks after I graduated. I went on part-time. I was scared. It was Saturday night at midnight. I could hear my voice cracking. I could feel the compression of the audio processing, sucking in every little thing I could hear in my headphones, and it was just wow. And that was the mind bender, and that was the beginning of the journey.
And wow, what a memory.
Yeah.
Right? I love how you can still put yourself in that moment.
Absolutely. I was just going to tag on to what you were saying. I think a lot of people don't understand that hearing when you have these headphones on, and then it's like, it automatically intimidates you right away when you can hear yourself breathing.
Yeah,
and then
our first podcast was a hot mess.
Hot mess.
It was crazy. But, and it never aired, by the way. And we'll have to break it out at some point.
Oh, you got to break it out.
We didn't
Come
erase
on.
it because it was disastrous. But you don't really know how you sound, and you're listening to that. But it was such a time of music, and I was just explaining to a colleague, a national colleague that does podcasts earlier today, and I told him I was going to have you on the show. And he's like, oh, who's that? I said, we'll start with, SiriusXM. And I said, but locally, there was this radio station, and it was really transformational for so many bands at the time. And there's been documentaries about it, Dare to Be Different. And I mean, it's really famous. And most people nationally, they really don't understand Long Island music and the impact that Long Island music and this radio station has had on so many musicians and bands that they know today.
Yeah, and I think that's why 20 years ago, yesterday, we started the Long Island Music and Entertainment Hall of Fame to celebrate the Long Island artists that may have been forgotten, that may have been nationally known. I mean, even the Stray Cats, they went to England first before they even broke here. Now, we were playing them on LIR, but it was the same with Jimi Hendrix. Jimi Hendrix went to London. That famous show was June 1, 1966, and he just did a clinic. And it was like a who's who in the audience, like Clapton, Townsend, everybody. In fact, he opened with an amazing version of the Magical Mystery Tour because the album came out the day before, and Lennon and McCartney looked at each other and said, holy crap. And that was the beginning. And then he broke there, then broke here. And sometimes that's what we were doing here. We were breaking new music because we were really the new music station. People kind of pigeonholed us as new wave, and I'll accept that. But we were playing all genres, right? We were playing reggae and ska and punk, and it was the kitchen sink, So a great song is a great song is a great song, no matter what the genre is, except maybe country, but sorry to the country fans. I like it, but it's just.
Well, I think the country songs now are so different than what country was back then. Now there's rap in country.
Yeah. In fact, a friend of mine that loves country loves the Foo Fighters now because Times Like These, a song like that could have been kind of an advanced country song in a sense if it was done differently.
Right, absolutely.
But I think people pigeonhole musically. And the gift for me when I went on the air for LIR was that I lived it, I breathed it. We were working 20-hour days, and then I became the music director and the morning show guy at the same time. Wow. And that's when, for my career, it exploded. Because getting to know the artists and the labels, and like Seymour Stein from Sire Records, who was the president, signed so many bands that we played, like Depeche Mode, Echo and the Bunnymen, The Pretenders. He signed so many acts, and we were very close to Seymour. He had the hotline, so when I did Off the Boat, which was a Sunday night import show, it was always Sunday night at 10 o'clock. And I'll explain how we got all the imports from two different directions. And I would play the best of what I thought was the best of the new imports of the week. And Seymour would call me and say, who was that? I said, I don't know, is that signed? And he would sign them.
Wow. Yeah, and that's what I mean. You were playing music, and it's funny, I wrote down some of the bands that were considered quote unquote new wave back then, new music, but we're talking NXS, The Police, New Order, B-52s, Depeche Mode, Blondie, Culture Club, Thompson Twins. Today, these are like normal bands, right? But they weren't at the time. You were helping to discover these people, and literally you were getting bands discovered and signed just by playing them for the first time on the air.
Exactly. And so, Kristen, what happened this morning, I actually talked about this. I didn't know this until a week ago. So when we broke In Excess, now you got to realize I left St. John's. I learned contracts because I was the concert chairman there. Alumni Hall, which is now Carnesec Arena holds 6,250 people when you seat it, which has got 150 seats more than Radio City Music Hall. So we did a lot of big bands there. And when I graduated, my assistant, Mike, became concert chairman, and he asked me to come back to introduce In Excess on the Shabu Shabbat tour, opening for Adam Ant. I didn't realize until last week that was their first performance ever in America.
Wow.
It was at St. John's University. And I didn't discover that until I looked it up. And then I said, I was the guy that introduced them. So it was that kind of feel of breaking artists that you thought were going to go somewhere, or maybe they were one-hit wonders and they were going nowhere. But it was the song mentality, because you wanted to play a great song. Because in those days, if they didn't like the station, they hit the button. They hit the button, right? So you had to make sure they didn't hit the button. So it better be good.
Right.
Or off it goes. So
Yeah, and I think that it's so cool that you were doing. I read this. I don't know if this is true, Larry. Was U2's first concert at Lido Beach?
no, the last night of the second tour, October for U2, that was in Lido Beach at the Malibu nightclub. The first performance of U2, you ready for this?
Yeah.
Was actually at the Ritz, which is now called Webster Hall, right after October of 1980, when the Boy album came out, and they opened for Susie and the Banshees. The next night, they played Stony Brook University. So I only discovered that because with Jim Faith and the Great South Bay Music Festival, so for Island Federal, I did the 15 magical musical moments in Long Island history, and that was number 7. Was U2 playing Stony Brook University. That was their second performance in America. A lot of people didn't know that.
And this is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And when you see this documentary, Dare to Be Different, bands that would never have found another place because other radio stations were playing what the record companies told them to play. And the gift that you were given was it your originally music director, and he just said, do whatever you want.
It was Dennis McNamara, the program director.
Okay.
Dennis had the final say. The music director was kind of like number 2 and would make the recommendations. Like in a university, you have provost and the president, right? So the provost is running academics. The president is like the man or the woman. And Dennis had the final say. I would make the recommendations. And the way we got the imports were twofold. One was Dutch East Trading, which was in Rockville Center. They got a lot of imports in from around the world. And the second is Dennis went to London and cut a deal with Rough Trade Records. And every Thursday, they shipped a box of new records, unsigned or signed, and it went same day Heathrow to JFK. My staff met the box, and we tell this in the movie, in New Wave Dare to Different, that Ellen did a great job, I think, of piecing it together. And then I would listen to it Thursday night. And then once I found a record with a magic marker handwriting on the white label. It wasn't even signed. It said MARRS, and it was Pump Up the Volume. And I called Dennis. I said, holy crap, we have something here. And we played it. And I remember I used to spin at the Malibu nightclub every Saturday night on the air, live in the club, no delay, no bathroom break, no commercial break. I go from 9 p.m. to 2 a.m. And I played it for the dance floor. And the dance floor, I played it 3 times that night. It was just incredible. And I still played it on Off the Boat on Sunday night. And then we were playing it starting Monday. And we had to drop the call letters in the middle of the song so people wouldn't copy it and try to rebroadcast it, which, by the way, is illegal. You're not supposed to do that.
Right.
Wow.
It's so funny. I was just listening to Howard Stern, also on Sirius. And it's funny. I became a Sirius subscriber when Howard Stern went from terrestrial radio to Sirius. And then the merger happened, and XM was bigger at the time, right? And then Howard kind of made it SiriusXM. And I was listening to him the other day, and he said the Radio Music Hall of Fame just came out. Are you in that?
No, I'm not.
That is criminal. First of all, we're gonna change that.
We're going to write to Howard.
Yeah, Discover Long Island's going to write to the Radio Music Hall of Fame because that is crazy. But they were talking about radio stations that would drop their call letters in the middle of the songs, and they were like because they just didn't care if you were like the integrity, they would just drop it in. But now because people would record them and take them because there was no other place to get them.
Yeah,
we had the only copy.
Yeah, and it was called Off the Boat because they would just get them from international markets.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
right, which is so cool.
I was on the air with Howard. It was in January 2009. And it's a great story on how I ended up being on the, because we had never met. He grew up in Roosevelt. I grew up in Merrick. Lou Reed grew up in Freeport, so there was this little triangle, right? And I knew Lou Reed, but I didn't know Howard. And Boy Gary was an intern at LIR. That's why he's in the movie, right? And one day he actually talked on the air about his biggest regrets in his life. And one of his biggest regrets was not working at LIR. Dennis passed on him twice. In fact, I found his audition tape in Studio B in a cabinet. Because if you ended up in the cabinet, that meant just erase it and use it for a commercial.
Oh, wow.
And Gary said, "You found it?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "Did you keep it?" I said, "No, I wasn't that way. I wasn't like gonna."
You didn't keep it?
No, I didn't. I don't even know what happened to the tape.
Oh, that's another.
That's
That's gut crushing
I
right
know.
there. Because I'm sure Howard would want that probably.
Yeah. And he's so nice and so gracious when I met him, because I was actually, at the time, I was a publisher of magazines. I was working on multi-channel news, broadcasting cable, Variety at that time. And I was on the red eye coming back. So I didn't hear him on the air, but my phone lit up like a Christmas tree. And my friend said, "Howard was just talking about you." I'm like, "Why?" And they said, because he never worked at LIR and he always admired me as a DJ. And I was like, "What?" No. And they said, "Yeah." And then I got to my office after taking a shower, and my assistant said, I got Lisa G on the phone. Lisa used to be on Hot 97, and she was doing Howard News. And I said, "Hey, Lisa, how's it going?" She goes, "Larry, do I have your permission to put you on the air?" I said, "Yeah, it's okay." And she recorded me for Howard News and then asked me my reaction, what I thought. So Gary said, "Why don't you come up and meet Howard?" So I went up. And it was interesting because I went into a green room with a girl with a thong on. It was like this February.
It sounds like Howard Stern.
Yeah. And,
Doesn't surprise
and she
me.
was a nice
February.
girl. And she's like signing these papers, like I give my consent to videotape, and I start signing the same stuff. Now I think I'm just going in during the commercial break. And I go in during the commercial break, and Gary brings me in, and Howard stands up with this big grin. He goes, "Hey, man, great to meet you." I said, "Great to meet me. Great to meet you." I said, we grew up in towns next to each other. We had friends in common. The only thing that separated us was the Meadowbrook Parkway.
Right.
That's really what
Right,
it, yeah.
sure. Right.
And we just had a nice chat, and then I hear 30 seconds to air. And he goes, "Hey, man, great meeting you." I said, "Great meeting you, too." And I walk out, and I go, "Wow, that was wild." And then the music, and I hear, "Hey, now." And then he comes on, and he's got, what's his name? The heavyset guy that was
The Artie.
Artie Lang. So him and Artie come on the air, and I was in a blazer. I wasn't in a tie. And Howard goes, "Hey, you know who that dude was?" And he goes, "Who, that sales guy?" And I said, he goes, "That was Larry the Duck." He goes, "Get the fuck out of here." I said, he goes, "You want to meet him?" And I see Gary going, "Get in here, get in here." And you see me, I have a tape of it on DVD where I put the headphones on and I go and stand at the stand-up mic, and my right leg is shaking because I didn't expect to be on the air with Howard. And we just had this great conversation for about 15 minutes. I got to meet Robin, talk to Robin, and Artie started making fun of me. He goes, "Maybe I should be Artie the elephant," and then they all started going around the room that they should all use animal names for themselves.
That's funny.
But
That's
it was
a
a
good
great
impersonation of Artie, by the way, that you even do his lips and everything. That's really good. That's really good. But, I think, again, people don't realize, they think of Long Island music, Billy Joel, Mariah Carey, but these alternative bands and these places that you had the privilege of, coming up. My father's place.
Oh.
Yeah.
This is a venue that still exists today. I don't know. Do they still play music there?
Well, Epi, after the club closed, he took my father's place to different venues, including the Roslyn Hotel.
Right.
And he finally brought it to a couple of other restaurants. So it lives as a brand, but it doesn't really have a true home anymore. But I lived in there because every Tuesday night, LIR would do a free radio concert at 8 o'clock, because we had these T1 lines that went right into the club. So we would, whatever the band was, like Squeeze for the first time, we had them, or the Police for the first time on the Outlanders to More tour. Because in those days, the business model was there was tour support. This is before MTV. And the tour support money would help the bands that really were one-off bands or just starting. And this was the record label's way of trying to invest in the future if they thought the band was worthy. So the Police had tour support, Squeeze did. And what happened was when MTV launched in August of '81, the tour support budget turned into the video budget. And that hurt people like Epi because he was able to siphon off some of that tour support. He benefited from the record labels and what they were doing to help some of these bands. So we would have the bands there, 800 people, and they get free tickets. They'd have to win them, and they'd join us, and then we broadcast it live on the air, on LIR, with no delay.
Well, and so I have another myth about that I wanted to ask you if it was true or not. So, you guys changed your format and you became new wave and you were like launching all of these bands, which was really cool. But then you had to, in that process, kind of drop a couple of people that you really liked and you couldn't play that kind of music anymore. And one of those people is Long Island icon Billy Joel. And what I heard was, and I don't know if this is true, but the rumor is that when he wrote the song, "It's Still Rock and Roll to Me," that was kind of him trying to get back on the station.
It's true.
Wow.
Is it really?
Yeah, it's very
It's
true.
about him trying to get back on LIR because they wouldn't play his music.
That's
Yeah.
incredible.
Even when Bruce Springsteen did Dancing in the Dark, they created a dance mix of it. And I said to Dennis, I said, why don't we shock people and just put it on the air and see what happens? And we did. Now, the record labels thought we added the song. It was a big deal if a record label saw that LIR added a song, because the way Lisa tells it in the movie, if you broke on LIR, you broke nationally. So we started playing Dancing in the Dark, and then Dennis and I said, I don't know, it doesn't feel right.
Doesn't sound good.
and then we thought about Billy, because, yeah, he did write that song thinking, new wave punk is all still rock and roll to me. So, and he did, and unfortunately we didn't play it. And
Still.
Wow.
But we
Yeah.
still love Billy.
Yeah.
We talk about celebrity on this show. Larry, did you hear that UBS Arena just announced today that Billy Joel is going to be the New Year's Eve?
yeah, first
Show?
time on Long Island in 5 years.
I love it.
know.
Saw that Newsday this morning, yeah.
Are you going to go?
I guess, yeah. I mean,
Billy, if you're listening, call us.
I was at the last show at the Coliseum when, who's the comedian that he's very close to, came out on stage and sang with him. Oh, he was in King of Queens.
Oh, Kevin James.
Kevin
yeah.
James.
Yeah.
That was a great show.
Yeah.
The last show. And then he did the first show. I went to the second show at the Coliseum where the Pretenders opened up for Stevie Nicks.
Oh.
And that was the last night of the Pretenders on tour that year. And they actually surprised Stevie Nicks. They were on their way to JFK, and they came out and surprised her, and they did a song together. And then they went to the airport. So
These stories
I know.
are so cool, right? And that's just one more shout out to the Long Island Music and Entertainment Hall of Fame that you helped to create, right?
Well, I joined the board about
the board.
12 years ago. It's really Norm Pruslin and Jim Faith that were the co-founders of it. And yesterday was the 20th anniversary of its formation.
And
Wow.
Ernie Canadeo, who's our mutual
Yes.
friend, and he was our very first guest on this podcast, by the
great.
way. Instrumental and so dedicated to that attraction and facility. They have big news coming up. We're always teasing it, and that's where I met you at the induction of the Gym Blossoms, which was so fun. But it's there are so many artists from Long Island. You Twisted Sister, Oyster Cult.
Yeah.
The drummer from Oyster Cult was at the induction, and I was just hanging out, cool, like no big.
And they started at Stony Brook University as Soft White Underbelly. That was the name of their band when they were in college.
Thank goodness they didn't go there. I like Oyster Cult better. I don't know what
Oh,
that
yeah,
is.
no. Blue Oyster Cult is a
Blue
lot
Oyster
better.
Cult, yeah.
Yeah, and Ernie's doing a great job as chairman. He's done a lot from the business side, securing sponsorships and things like that. So we've kind of, as a board, I think we've elevated it to next level. We rebranded it, added the word "and entertainment."
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
So you can
important.
include comedians because there are so many comedians from here.
Yeah.
But yeah, Ernie was telling me because I was going to go see Bruce Springsteen at UBS, and he was like, "Oh, I remember when he was opening for somebody right before he broke big, and he got on there and just started singing, and everybody went wild." And I'm like, "You guys that are part of this genre of music, back when it was almost like pure, right? So these days it's social media."
Well, exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to ask you. What do you see now, like the difference, as opposed to listening to good old-fashioned radio? Now everything is.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think radio with consultants has become homogenized. I'm saying outside the satellite platform. The streaming services, I think, I'm also on WDARE.FM, Dare FM. I'm on in the afternoon there. And it's pretty much LIR with a twist of new music too. But I think that it's so homogenous that it's vanilla to me. The way, and it's a shame because we were breaking artists. We were like what we called A&R in radio. We were artists in repertoire, right? So you have A&R guys at labels, and all they do is try to find the next golden nugget of a band, right? And when you speak to LIR, I was there for both periods. Before we changed the format in August of '82, and when we were a progressive rock station. So I spent 3 years under that belt. And it was interesting, if you remember, since you mentioned Bruce Springsteen, when he played CW Post, that was an LIR broadcast. And that's where when he said, hey, but they did the Santa Claus song,
Yes, the Santa Claus, yeah.
with the saxophone.
Yes.
I love that, Chris.
Yeah.
Santa Claus is coming to town.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right?
So that was an LIR broadcast. That's from the broadcast. That song.
That song that is on my every year music list because it's
Album,
iconic.
yes,
the live
exactly.
version. There is so much incredible history of music on Long Island, and you are such a big part of that. So we are so honored that you joined the
absolutely.
show. And
I'm honored
I
to be
literally
here.
was just fangirling you when I met you. I was like, oh my gosh, it's Larry the Duck. I have one more question before you
Yeah.
go. Did you also hear the celebrity news that the Rolling Stones are coming out with a new album?
So today's Wall Street Journal actually had an article, and I saw Variety broke it yesterday because I still get all the Variety push products, that it's their first new album in 18 years. And if you go to the Wall Street Journal, there's a picture of like Mick and Keith and man, they look aged, and Ron Wood. And they talk about the process of this album. So if you look at today's Wall Street Journal, it's a really good article.
Wow. And so how do you feel about it?
Well, I mean, good for them, man. The quote in the article, because Jimmy Fallon did an interview with them, and he says in the interview, in the Wall Street Journal article this morning, he says, there's no other band that can do what you do, and there's no other band that can duplicate anything that you have accomplished. And they were humbled by that, you know? Do you remember when Mick Jagger was on Saturday Night Live with Jimmy Fallon and they were impersonating each other in front of the mirror? Do you remember that?
That's so funny.
That was one of the funniest skits I ever saw.
That is funny.
And they both lost it. Like, they do the rehearsal at 8:30 and then they do it live at 11:30 and they both lost it.
It's so funny.
It's like one of those things that, these things pop in my head, then they go away. They pop in my head, they go away.
Well, we'll see if they've still got it, but you've definitely still got it.
Absolutely.
And
thank you.
we still love listening to you, so we can still tune in to you on SiriusXM, on the New Wave. Is it New Wave or First Wave?
Well, it's First Wave. So I'm on Monday through Friday, 5 a.m. to 9 a.m. Eastern, and Saturday, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Eastern.
And what number channel is that?
33.
33.
Yeah.
And I love that. And thank you for coming on.
Thank you, Kristen.
Clearly your passion for music is wonderful. And that was just a golden era when people that really loved music, like you and like Howard Stern, really appreciated the artists and the bands and were able to help really make those people famous and for the rest of us to enjoy. So
yeah,
I
it's
hope you
all
feel
about
like
the
you had
music.
a legacy.
Yeah, and I'm humbled by it too. I don't really, there are DJs out there that let it get to their head, and I prescribe to the philosophy of intellectual humility, like keeping your mind open, even if you don't agree with the opinion, just keep your mind open to it. And I think being the only New Yorker, Long Islander, and I say I broadcast from Long Island every day, because everyone from my channel is from Los Angeles, which is cool. The one thing I will say, my last thing, is that I always wanted to go on stage in Los Angeles. My bucket list was like to say 4 words: good evening, Los Angeles. And I did that about 5 years ago on the Microsoft stage, the Microsoft Theater stage where they do the Emmys and the Oscars. It was a big 80s show, and Richard Blade brought me out there. And I have to tell you, the cheer, and there were people in that audience from LIR with LIR T-shirts on in Los Angeles.
How
and
do
that's
we
the
get one of
impact.
those T-shirts?
Yeah. That's what we
I
need.
know. You are the best. Thank you so much.
Thank
You're
you.
a true
Thank
Long Island
you.
icon, and we're proud to know you.
Thank you for having me.
Larry.
Thank you. Thank you both.
Energy.
Okay, Sharon, the energy.
His energy, his passion, everything that he brought, his memory.
Oh my God. I know. Felt like we were there with him the whole time. I was like, I could talk to him. He'll definitely be back, I
Yes.
think. But what a great show. We're going to end it on that note because we have nothing else to add that could top that. Make sure you leave us a review, 5 stars. You get $5 off merch. And follow us on Long Island Tea Podcast. If you have something you want to share with us, spill the tea. Right? Is it spill the tea
at discoverlongisland.com.
discoverlongisland.com.
Or
I can remember that. Yeah.
you can call us through Instagram.
Right. Leave us a voicemail
Leave
and maybe
us a
we'll play it.
voicemail.
Thanks, guys. We'll see you next week.
See you next week.
The Long Island Tea Podcast is brought to you by Discover Long Island. For exclusive access to contests and promotions, follow Long Island Tea Podcast on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And for questions, comments, and collaborative inquiries, email spillthetea@discoverlongisland.com.